Hi there, welcome to Isle Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Taurus energy. And we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because not everybody's on the same page. Life is about learning lessons, and we've all grown up being more immature and, hopefully when we're 8, being like egotistical and self-centered and think the world should revolve around us. And we've all got fears and insecurities and our pride and our ego and our want for these things of the world. And life's about learning lessons to hopefully grow up and mature ourselves, get out of our more egocentric nature, hopefully learn to love and believe in ourselves and heal and grow and mature ourselves and learn lessons in life. But not, some people have learned more lessons than other people. So Taurus energy kind of talks about our philosophy of life and how we view ourselves, how we view the world, how we view relationships, what we think is just and fair in relationships, what drives and motivates us. Are we more about the world and ego and image and indulgence and things, or materialism, or have we learned these lessons? Because high vibe Taurus is people who are like a spiritual leader in the world, in the sense that they kind of walk the talk. They are who they say they are. They have learned, to the best of their ability at whatever stage of life they're at. I try to treat other people the way I like to be treated. If I present myself as being stable, grounded, mature, just, fair, that's the person I try to be. And there's other people in the world who try to present themselves as being that type of person, but that really isn't the truth of who they are. Because anybody can wear a false mask. And why would people do that? Taurus energy talks about these different institutions of the world, like jobs and professions and organizations and marriages. And some people try to present themselves as more emotionally stable, grounded, and mature than they really are. And we have lessons to learn going through our life to listen to our intuition. That's kind of like the key. Part of it is to get out of our more egoic nature, because the masculine figures can kind of represent our more egoic nature, and so can the Sun card in Leo energy. But if we've learned lessons in life, we've learned that if we take action more out of our ego nature and are more tempted in our ego, we're probably going to learn some difficult lessons. We will be illuminated to the truth about ourselves and other people. And that's what life is about, coming into contact with all these different people to help us get clear about our truth. What drives and motivates us? What continues to drive and motivate us? And hopefully our philosophy of life changes as we go through life, because the way we viewed life and the world and ourselves and other people when we were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25, hopefully we still don't have some of those same philosophies of life, right? Hopefully we've learned lessons and been illuminated to the truth. High vibe Leo energy is about learning these lessons, putting in the work and effort to grow and heal and mature yourself, that it is about a balance. We want these things of the world. There's things that we are fired up about, but it has to be in balance and just and fair. And if we want to be proud of ourselves, to act with character and integrity. And high vibe energy is being loving and encouraging and inspired by truth and love versus ego. And some people still think the way to go is to maybe operate from their ego, which can be their defensive nature. Nope, I don't want to be more authentically myself. I might lack hope and faith and belief and love. I am going to keep operating from my more defensive nature. And other people are like, I think the key to happiness is making life more about me or more about these things of the world. And they're probably going to keep living their life like that, So what is going on in Taurus energy? We start out with the card not showing itself. And the reason is because of half-truths. So It's kind of making me think of like a Two of Pentacles and Two of Swords. We have our dualistic nature, and life is about making choices in our life. And Taurus energy is like the Supreme Court in our own head. We debate back and forth within ourselves. We argue with ourselves, but I want this and I want this, but I want this and I want this. And, who's going to win? Is our more worldly, shadowy nature going to win? Is our more high vibrational, hopeful, believing, loving nature going to win? Only one aspect of our dualistic nature is kind of going to be the rule of the land, and Taurus energy has to do with, our philosophy of life, and it is what kind of dictates the decisions we make in our life. And, we could tell ourselves half-truths. Other people could tell us half-truths. People could be in relationships and they're not being truthful. People could be in relationships and they haven't really decided what their truth is, haven't picked a path. Do I have hope and faith and belief and love, or am I more about me and the world? And some people are still can't decide. There's some people in the world who have picked hope and faith and belief and love. There's other people that have definitely picked being more about themselves and the world. And then there's kind of the people that could think I am one way or the other, but until it really get in certain friendships or relationships where they have to decide, that can force them to make a decision, right? Oh, so what is this card? Sometimes we realize that we harness this energy differently than other people. We might not know it. Someone else could be trying to create an illusion. Oh no, I agree with you. I live my life like that too. That's what drives and motivates me. But that can maybe not be their truth. What is the card? The disconnection card. So I guess I kind of view the disconnection card as like an Eight of Cups card. Are we more independent or are we not? Are we more independent of our ego, self-interest nature, other people in our life to live our more authentic life and go like on a new journey in life? Or do we have friends or family members that people can be kind of codependent on, like that's their primary foundation? But of course they can't be in a romantic relationship with or marry those people, and they want to be in a relationship with other people, but they can not tell the truth that I kind of indulge myself in relationships with other people and I create the illusion that I'm more independent and more bold and brave and confident, but really there might be some things in the world with the snake card that kind of manipulate me. And the house is like a foundation. And again, the foundation card of the house reminds me of Aries energy, the Four of Wands card. I could be more about myself. Or again, there's another foundation in my life that is my primary foundation. Like if I were to move forward in a new beginning, but if those people in my life said, oh, I don't think you should move forward with those people anymore, I don't like those people, or, they would be more aligned with that energy or those people than living their more authentic life. And so it can just be more aligned with the world, more aligned with your ego, more aligned with your fear, and there's other people that are more independent. And the thing is, with half-truths, maybe, we tend to think that other people think like we do. And if we get in a relationship with people, and the snake card is saying Scorpio, which is fixed sign energy, it's emotional water sign energy. We all can have a tendency to like to stay in our comfort zone and repeat certain patterns of ways of being in relationships. because it keeps us in our comfort zone. You know, say people grew up in an emotionally disconnected family, or with people who are kind of deceptive or manipulative or prideful or egotistical or materialistic or bossy or controlling. That kind of is your comfort zone. And to be in relationships with people who are more authentic and just and fair and all that stuff, that can feel weird. Like, I am not used to hanging out with people like this. And even though we might like the just and fair and loving and encouraging people, it can just be out of our comfort zone. So then sometimes we won't move forward with people like that. Maybe because it would require us to kind of work through some of those issues of why I'm kind of tempted to stay in my comfort zone. And I could tend to put more work and effort to try to maybe change other people. Because if I get in a relationship with people who maybe are more authentic or more encouraging or balanced or loving, then I'm going to have to do some work within myself. We have the Great Fortune card, which kind of reminds me of the Ten of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. The reason these cards came out is because of the B card, which is Virgo energy. And then we have the Aries energy here. And we have the Aries energy there, right? So sometimes we can be attracted to people. Fire sign energy can mean that you're attracted to people. It can, the Virgo energy can talk about wanting to work together with other people. I want to have a job. I want to have friends. I want to be in a romantic relationship. And sometimes we are drawn and attracted to certain people because they kind of hold the key to illuminating some truth that we haven't worked through yet. Something that kind of could be buried in our subconscious, which is kind of what Pisces energy talks about, is the subconscious emotional realm within our own foundation, maybe about how we don't love and believe in ourselves. Because that's kind of what Scorpio and Aquarius energy can be like. Do I love myself? Have I healed from past pain and heartbreak? Do I believe in myself and believe in my dreams? And, we can all be, I think, initially going out in the world, we can all be a little more codependent. And we all like community and we all like to be in relationships. And we do have these lessons to learn about these subtle differences in people. We might think everybody's motivated to put in work and effort. That's like high vibe Virgo, high vibe Aries and Leo, inspired by love. And we have to see the truth that not everybody is. Some people want to be in relationships, but again, they want to operate from their more emotionally defensive nature. I operate more from my ego. Do I want to be in a relationship? Do I want all these things in the world too? Yes. But I have things that manipulate me. And so other people could be more motivated in their Virgo and their fire sign energy, that my long-term goal is to have these things of the world, be in these relationships, but I kind of might use my emotions and my sexuality and my looks and my charm and my money and all these different things, maybe kind of a little more manipulatively, to kind of confuse people about the truth that I maybe really am not more authentically myself. And I do kind of let my false persona, my ego, my false self kind of run my life because it makes me feel safe. And we all, it takes time. Leo in High Vibe talks about kind of learning to be more comfortable with yourself. And, again, we got to come in contact with all these different people. It's kind of hard to stand up in a way for your truth when you're not even sure what your truth is, right? And, we go in the world and you meet these people and you think, yeah, I agree with that. And I think that. And yeah, that seems like a good idea. And then, time goes by and then one might be like, wait a minute. I'm not sure if that is my truth. And, there's a lot of things about it I might like that I think are good about it. But kind of like, we kind of have to learn these lessons in life to figure out what are the building blocks that we want to take moving with us moving forward that we value as being kind of the most important building blocks. And other people, they might take different ones. We're going to let go of some ways of living life, viewing life, and living life. And we might hold on to a core foundational way of viewing life. Other people might have not held on to those things and they let go of other things. And the things that they're moving forward with, that they're building their life upon, that are the most important things to them, can be different, right? So we can get in relationships with people, and our long-term goal and kind of what drives and motivates us, we could come to realize over time, is different. For some people, they might have known that when they got into it. For other people, they might have felt just in their own fear and insecurity, just being maybe a more codependent energy, or they could feel like they had the best of intentions, thought everybody would put in work and effort to keep working together like in truth and love, and then later they could kind of feel deceived and manipulated. Like, I think those people always were more motivated by themselves or ego or image or indulgence, and it never really was about love. And I don't think love is maybe really what drives and motivates them. And then there's some people that are quite egotistical or narcissistic, and it's really just all about them. And as long as it works for them, they'll stay in it. And maybe, people can give the impression that they're willing to put work and effort to bring like a dream into reality. And they can put some work and effort into it to keep moving it forward, again, so long as it works for them and is good for their ego and their image. But if the people they're in a relationship with, and everybody, we can all have been more caught up in the world, and that's kind of our focus. Like, I want to get married, or I want to have kids, and I want to have a job. And, there's all these things that, the first 30, 40 years of our life are really kind of focused on, right? But then there can come a time in people's lives where they don't harness their fire sign energy the same way. What they used to be driven and motivated by in their Taurus philosophy of life is different. We can go pursue all these things of the world, and then we can kind of feel like we were deceived and manipulated. Like, Taurus energy can be all these institutions of the world, and our family, and our religion, or our friend group, or our community, or our state, or our country, that tells us if we live our life like this, and we do this, and we do that, or we indulge in this, or whatever, we'll be happy. And, because we grow up in the world, and we're growing up with other human beings, and they have their philosophy of life of what's right and wrong and just and fair and praiseworthy and not praiseworthy and all that. It does kind of affect us, and it can take a lot of time of living our life to kind of be willing to live our more authentic life. And we kind of have to work through that emotional confusion of that some people in our life who we could have grown up with, who we've been friends with, and we'd kind of, still like to be in a relationship with them, but, your truth is kind of different than my truth. And what you find enjoyable and what you want to kind of Virgo energy can be about what we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into, and fire sign energy can be kind of what drives and motivates us. We could have people in their Taurus energy that are really motivated to conform to the world. You should make your life, that would be kind of caught up in the illusion of the world. The most important thing is your ego and your image and your status and how people view you. And you don't go live your authentic life and you don't go do what you really want to do. Taurus energy, again, can be about like all these rules and regulations. And look at all the different rules and regulations, like from one family to another family or one country to another country of what you should do, what's just, what's fair. High vibe energy is I adhere to a higher truth. High vibe Aquarius, high vibe Scorpio. We're emotionally creative, inspired, intuitive people. If you were to grow up in a family where someone's really into bugs and insects, does everyone have to be bugs and insects? If you grew up in a family where everybody's into biology and science, does everybody have to do biology and science? But sometimes it's almost like the world has these rules and like you're supposed to do this and if you wear this then you're valuable, if you don't wear that then you're not as valuable, and if you look like this you're valuable, if you look like that you're not as valuable, and if you have this kind of amount of money or this amount of money or you drive this, it's all this. That's kind of shadowy Scorpio. So like I say, the snake card is it says Scorpio on the card, but the snake card reminds me of the Seven of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, and it kind of has to do with how we move forward in life and what our truth is. Same with Virgo energy. What is my truth? What am I going? I have a truth in my foundation that I'm emotionally connected to. And I could have a hard time seeing through how I'm manipulated by other people in the world and my family and all those things to really get clear about my truth. Because again, in Virgo energy, it takes work and effort to work through that emotional confusion. In our Scorpio energy, we can have a lot of contradicting thoughts, On one hand, we could agree with certain things, and then on the other hand, we might wonder, kind of question, well, why? And then there can be people in your life and some people could have grown up with people that are like, you're not supposed to question why. This is what you're supposed to do, and so we do it, But then hopefully as time goes by, hopefully we get a little more life experience under us to kind of just see the truth that everybody has their philosophy of life and why they live their life the way they live it, based on their life experience, based on how they grew up, and And the thing is, how many of us we were all raised as children. How many of us, when we were brought up, said, boy, I'm going to do things different when I have kids. This technique that they have, or these ways of being, and that's the thing. Life changes, and a parental generation can try to raise their kids with some of the same ways of being that they grew up with. And the times have changed, Some parents are way too lenient because it can be, and depending on where you live, a more dangerous world. And they might not even know how kind of dangerous some things can be because they're not up to date on it. Other parents can be way too controlling, and they're not letting their children kind of learn some lessons on their own because they're overprotective, and maybe that's how they were. And and then some people are just more bossy and controlling, and they don't want people to be more independent. And it's all about trying to find this balance and find out what our truth really is. But some people aren't interested in putting in the work and effort to work through those contradictory thoughts and feelings, and even their contradictory thoughts and feelings they could have about people in their life, and might like to harness their fire sign energy, not living their more authentic life. And sometimes I kind of view Taurus energy as like people wanting to follow a template because that makes them feel more safe and secure. I'm going to live my life like they live their life. And I'm not going to live my more authentic life because that does require me to kind of trust and believe in myself and listen to my own intuition. And some people are really afraid of doing that. Like, well, what if I were to go do that and then it doesn't work out? These people live life like this. I'm going to live life like that. And if they acted like this and they did these things and they belong to these organizations, and it's like just repeating this old pattern and not like living their more authentic life. And some people think that is the way. In Aries energy here, it can be, I think that's the way to look victorious and successful. That's the way to maybe look like a boss in the world. And for some people, that is the most important thing in their life. And some of you have been in relationships with people who you either think were not being truthful, that they are more about themselves, or they are more driven by ego and image, or self-indulgence, or look to these things of the world to be the answer to their problems than doing this inner work within themselves. And they think they can keep moving forward more in their pride and ego. Like, I don't have to deal with those things, but those things keep manipulating them. And how the action that they take in the world. How differently do you act in the world and in relationships if you have worked through some of your past pain and heartbreak, your fears, your insecurities, and your self-limiting beliefs? You're probably a much more stable, grounded, authentic, loving, warm, encouraging person. And if you haven't worked through those things and you're just moving forward in your ego, well, then you're still going to get triggered in your fear and your insecurity and your defensive nature and your hurt nature. But they keep thinking like this is the way to go. This is the safest route. And until basically things keep not working out the way they want, they're going to probably keep doing it, you know. And other people can put in work and effort with people in jobs and friendships and relationships to be loving and encouraging and supportive. But we are not the answer to some people's problems in that, you know, some people look to other people like they look to drugs or alcohol, thinking those are the answer to their problems. Some people look to other people, you are the answer to my problems. But you're not. All we can offer is truth and love and encouragement to people. They have to be inspired to do this work within themselves. And some people, that is not their philosophy of life. No, I don't view life that way. No, I don't have to do that work. I just go get in a relationship with someone who might be loving or nurturing or supportive or victorious or successful or attractive or got money, whatever they think the answer to their problems is. And then I think that's the answer to my problems. But they're still dragging their problems with them. Virgo energy talks about looking at those things that are hidden in the dark. And some people are like, I do not want to illuminate what is hidden in the dark. I'm going to harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. I'm going to keep those things hidden in the dark. I am more inspired to operate from my ego. Ah, that's the ticket. That's the answer. Don't deal with the truth. Keep the truth hidden. Do not deal with those issues. And some people do that because maybe, you know, like the rest of us fallible human beings, maybe they were kind of immature. Maybe they did get caught up in some things, you know, and they thought those things were going to be the answer. They were kind of more caught up in thinking these things of the world were the answer. Some of those people have kind of realized the truth that those things weren't the answer, but they're too unwilling to illuminate the truth. So they try to hide the truth. Some people are kind of more prideful and egotistical and bossy and controlling. Other people saw the truth of it. Other people are still unwilling to get out of their more prideful, egotistical ways of being. And they could know that some of the people in their life were these just and fair and loving people. But they don't like that those people saw the truth of who they were. They could even love those people to the degree that they love people and would like to maybe be in a relationship with them. But it's kind of like a battle between people who are more shadowy and people who are more high vibe for some people. The shadowy people know that the more authentic and loving people put a lot of work and effort to move something forward, to bring a dream into reality. And they wanted to bring that dream into reality. And they were emotionally invested in that dream. And those people know it. But it's like, I'm not going to do the relationship the way you want. And if part of me doing the relationship the way you want is that I would have to be willing to reveal the truth, nope, I'm not willing to do that. Did I act immature? Was I deceptive? Was I manipulative? Was I full of myself? Did I get caught up in something in the world? Yep, I'm not willing to reveal the truth. Maybe kind of hoping that the high vibe people in their life will kind of get caught up in their head about if their dreams will come into reality if they keep moving forward, looking to the future, and they're hoping that they will get kind of more caught up in their head and want to come back and do the relationship with them, kind of doing it the way they want, which is we don't reveal the truth maybe of what happened, and we just move forward and we hide the truth. Well, the truth sets you free. And if people aren't willing to reveal the truth, get out of their ego, well then they're still in their ego. And then they'll probably keep moving forward more in their ego. And more shadowy people can try to manipulate loving people and the love that they have for them to try to manipulate them, and that's not loving either. And so while some shadowy people can be being deceptive and manipulative with people at work, in friendships, in relationships, you know, shadowy Taurus can be where it's a more kind of imbalanced relationship where people kind of think if I have more of what I think you want, or you value what I have more than I value what you have, then I get to be the deferred person in the relationship. I get to kind of operate more from my ego or my immature nature or my bossy nature, or be deceptive or be manipulative or be abusive. High vibe Taurus relationships are that you're inspired by truth and love to act with character and integrity, so you can be proud of yourself because you've already learned that to act in kind of more shadowy ways doesn't make you feel proud of yourself, and that's its own cross to bear. So you grow up and you mature yourself, and I want to work together with people who are authentic and loving and just and fair, and I'm going to be that type of person also. I have been illuminated that if I act in shadowy energies, both people have to be putting in work and effort in truth and love to have a just and fair and like abundant outcome. Some people think, well, no, you be just and fair and authentic and loving, and I just want to be in the relationship with you or the workplace with you to share in that abundance. But that's where like a shadowy person is getting like reward without effort in a way, where they're not having to be that person. And eventually the high vibe people in their life kind of feel deceived and manipulated. Well, you kind of seem like, in a way, that you got the jackpot. I guess it depends on what you value. Shadowy people who maybe have more status or image or social clout, or maybe they're more attractive or whatever, and they think that's the most important thing, that they could think you have the jackpot. But you're loving and authentic and just and fair and emotionally mature. But they don't value that as much as they value, you can kind of see where this is being in their ego, that they think what they bring to the table is more important than that. And if you don't want to be in a relationship with them because they don't really value love, and they kind of haven't learned that that is what kind of makes it all worthwhile, and they might just have some lessons to learn in life about the difference, but kind of more shadowy energy can be, I'm kind of more superficial and shallow. I kind of use my emotions and my sexuality and all these things more manipulatively. I don't really emotionally, more authentically invest myself in people. I kind of do operate from my more self-protective, defensive, egoic energy. So I'm going to be in a relationship with someone, so I don't really think it matters. Kind of, to a degree, if a person is like authentic and loving and just and fair, as long as they are enough. Well, some of the people who thought that in life, and some of you have already learned that lesson, that when you have people in your life who are authentic and loving, you do kind of have to have the same goals and kind of headed in the same direction, but we do learn that finding people in our life that we connect with that are supportive and encouraging and authentic and loving and warm, those are people we should treasure and treat with respect. And we all could have let some people go in our life because, whether they were older people than us that, honey, why are you acting like that? Why are you living your life like that? And we kind of blew those people off because we were younger and we wanted to go indulge in what we wanted to indulge in. We've all had lessons to learn. And we've all probably had some more emotionally mature, stable, grounded people move on in our life. We could have moved on from people that we thought were more emotionally immature or whatever. Those people in turn could have moved on from people in their life. In relationship to other people, we're just kind of trying to find people who we think are more on the same page at the same time as we are. And, to think that we can just find these people that we click with just like that. We can try to create the illusion and, lie about what drives and motivates us and like, oh my gosh, and this is so fun, and oh my gosh, I love you, and oh my gosh, it's so wonderful, and oh my gosh, I'm so happy. And it's all kind of, you're either being authentic or you're creating an illusion. And again, some people are so want the relationships or the community or a certain status or image or to look a certain way, their whole life can be an illusion. They're never really living their authentic life. What seems to be the best people to hang out with, or what to do, or what's the most popular? Oh, we're not doing that anymore. Oh, that's like frowned on. Okay, I'm not going to do that anymore, even though I could love doing that. And the other people in the world, just live their authentic life. I don't have all these rules and regulations in my head. I go out in the world. I try to keep life in perspective, high vibe Aquarius energy, not get so caught up in my head, keep things in perspective, put in work and effort to be aligned with my truth and what motivates and inspires me, and that is to be authentic and treat other people the way I want to be treated and the way I like to be treated, be loving and encouraging to people. And I don't really care what they wear or what they drive or how much money they have, and all that superficial bullshit. I want to find people who work together with me who are just and fair and supportive and encouraging. And I think that's where I'll find the people that are more aligned with my truth. And some other people keep investing in the more superficial and shallow, and they could keep wondering why things don't work out. But part of it can be because they're not being authentic. But I'm walking the talk, and I'm wearing all the right things, and I'm saying this, and I'm acting like this. And that can be people who are living more from their mind than their heart. It's all like a mental strategy and calculation, and other people kind of listen to their intuition about people like that. And if there are people who do that, then they'd probably be like, hey, I'm on board with you, and we'll hang out, and we'll keep moving forward. Other people are like, I don't think you are who you say you are, and I kind of feel like it's more of a facade, and it might be for these certain reasons, and I don't really... Just my intuition could be telling me to distance myself from people, and our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world, because people can wear false masks, and they're not who they say they are, but we have lessons to learn about listening to our intuition, because we saw some of those people in the world, and we're like, oh yeah, I want to go partake in that. And it's like, okay, you're going to have some lessons to learn because you didn't listen to your intuition. And you're probably going to be deceived and manipulated because your intuition was given to you as a gift, just like your emotional nature, your intuitive nature, your loving nature, your creative, inspired sexual nature. But if you want to misuse all those things or ignore some of them or think they're less valuable and think you're the boss, and you can control and manipulate things, and you don't have to listen to your intuition, and you can use your gifts and talents manipulatively, I just think it's probably not going to turn out the way that you think, because it's kind of like planting bad seeds and expecting a good harvest. So let's go look at these cards. The ending card, the mountain card, the long road, and the sweetheart. So the ending card, of course, makes me think of Scorpio energy again, because it represents the death card in tarot. And then we have Capricorn energy, but because of the mountain, it also makes me think of Virgo energy. We have the long road card here, which is also kind of like Virgo energy. We all hold the key to kind of growing ourselves to our full potential, living our kind of like a life aligned with our soul. Or we can put an end to that. It's like, nope. I know I could grow myself to my full potential, but with Capricorn and Taurus energy, that requires work and effort. And I think I can get what I want by trying to cheat the system. Like, I'll maybe put in work and effort to look a certain way, have a certain status or image, in my looks or my charm or my sexuality or something. I'll try to manipulate people that way. And I'm sure I can get what makes it look like I am this victorious and successful kind of person that I've got what other people got. But the problem is, if part of what they want is for them, kind of like a shadowy person, the big picture, shadowy nature represents the devil, and high vibe energy represents God. The devil wants to seem like they're this just and fair and loving person, right? But they're kind of all about themselves. But the devil would want people to love them. And prideful, egotistical, immature, bossy, controlling would love to have people be in a relationship with them and love them and indulge them in their poor behavior. And they probably don't want to really be in a relationship with someone who's like themselves. It's like, well, no, you're supposed to love me. And the other person's like, well, no, you're supposed to love me. Because they haven't done this work within themselves. High vibe Leo, I view it as loving yourself. Working through your past pain and heartbreak within yourself. And kind of being in that more codependent energy where I go look outside myself to feel better and for other things to be the answer to my problems. We were made to be kind of self-sufficient. The answer lies within us. But until we are illuminated to the truth that the answer lies within us, that we hold the key to free ourselves, and if we get inspired to do this work within ourselves, to look at those things that manipulate us, if we do that, the death card talks about transformation. I shed an old layer of myself and a way of viewing myself and viewing the world because I did offer love and compassion and empathy and forgiveness to myself for the lessons I've had to learn in life. And I've offered it to people in my life and people from my past. I don't want to keep staying stuck here watching other people who seem to be free, because high vibe energy is about being more independent, being more authentic, not being in stagnant, dead, unloving energy, more caught up in these things of the world. But they were people. You know, shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. So I view high vibe Capricorn as the King of Pentacles. That you are who you say you are. Other people can go present themselves in the world as like King of Pentacles, Hierophant energy, male or female. Because we all, when we go present ourselves in the world, is kind of considered masculine energy. Because the feminine figures talk about how we really think and feel. The high vibe people are who they say they are. They emotionally are being authentic, and they have learned to love themselves, to be more emotionally mature and balanced within themselves. And they are people that people want to hire for jobs, be in friendships with, be in relationships with, because they are these people who have freed themselves from being more about themselves and the world and their fear and their insecurity and their self-centered nature or immature nature. And they're loving people who walk the talk. And they're loving and encouraging to other people. And there's other people in the world that think this person is just creating an illusion. They're just creating a better illusion than I am. How in the hell do they do that? Because that can be how they view the world. It's this mental construct. And that can be what they think everyone in the world does because that's what they do. And again, if you view life a certain way and you think a certain way, you can tend to think that that's what other people do. And they could wonder, how are they doing that? How is it that they seem, you know, how can I pull that off? I want to pull that off. And what they don't get is that the key is it's not to live more from your mind than your heart. You have to do this work within yourself in your free will to detach from your more egoic nature and love yourself and offer love to these things so you can put an end to those things manipulating you to be free. To go on this journey in life where it's taking these steps, you know, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. That if I want my life to be like this, I have to quit investing in a life like this, what thoughts and emotions and all these things that I invest my time, energy, and effort into. I don't ignore them. I work through them to free myself to be in more hopeful, believing, compassionate, loving energy, because love is the answer. Some people have figured out the key. How did I get over other people that were deceptive and manipulative and bossy and controlling and hurtful and unkind and intimidating and controlling? I offered love to it. And I offered love to myself. I gave myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. And I was illuminated to the truth that some people aren't very just and fair and loving or nurturing or supportive or authentic. And some people are narcissistic and materialistic and egotistical and all about themselves. They have some lessons to learn in life. And I've already learned those lessons. And I'm not going to let shadowy people keep me in shadowy energy. And I do this work within myself to free myself and keep believing in my dreams. At one time, I could have thought my dream could have come into reality with them, but I was illuminated that it couldn't. Because what we're motivated and inspired by and what the truth is of the foundation that we build our life on is different. So I believe that the divine has a plan for my life, and I'm going to keep moving forward and investing in the people in my life who do work together with me in this more just and fair and encouraging and authentic and loving way. And the people who don't, I wish them peace. Hope they heal. Just like people offered me peace when I needed to heal. And it's like being a good role model in the world. Walking the talk. Slow, steady steps forward in truth and love, instead of giving in to your pride and your ego and your fear and your insecurity and your lust and your greed and negative energy, right? But, and some people in their free will, that's just not their truth. And for them to move forward in that energy, it would be like transforming their whole philosophy of life. Because they could have never just had this way of viewing life that it wasn't that. What? Just fair? Not make it just about ego and image? We all want stability and security, but what about being in just and fair and balanced and loving relationships? And again, some people before discredited that. Some people now could be seeing how they deceived themselves because they didn't appreciate it, because they were so much more inspired by it being about them. I'm sure if it's more about me, I'll be happy. If I have someone who indulges me in my more immature or prideful or whatever ways, or I was so much more about money or materialism or status or image, and I might be in relationships with people who want to be in a relationship with me and stay in a relationship with me for those reasons. But it's not authentic and loving. I mean, hopefully, if people find themselves in that situation, just like some of you did, you offer truth and love to the people in your life. Do you want to move forward with me in this way? But we both have to be willing to change. And sometimes that's a problem. You can be in a relationship with people, and you can be in relationships with people for a long time because we have a lot of things to negotiate and kind of navigate. Well, I kind of like this, and you kind of like that, and well, I kind of feel this way, and you feel that way. We got all these things to find out if we're kind of compatible on. And we can be compatible in a lot of things, but it can finally get down to that core foundational truth of if one person operates a little bit more from ego and kind of thinks they should be a little bit more indulged and you should be maybe a little more codependent on them. And that could be the kind of relationship they like. And if you want, have healed and grown and matured yourself to a degree where it's like, well, I want a more just and fair and balanced relationship. Some people are like, I'm not doing that. I'll go find someone else who views me as like a shining star in their life, and I can be this loving, nurturing person in their life, and, we'll be in a relationship maybe for a long time until they kind of are more like ready to fly the nest and spread their own wings and fly, well then no, I don't want to go with you. I like playing this role in people's life. And we have to understand some people came into our life even maybe to provide that nurturing role in our life, to help us heal. We also could have come into their life to help them heal. But when it got to the point of being more authentically yourself, being more independent in the world, that could have been where they, like, nope. I am, I guess, more about the world, or not willing to be more authentic or be more vulnerable or loving. And that's where the journey ends. But it all could have been part of the journey to help people kind of get clear about their truth, because some people hadn't really maybe quite loved and believed in themselves. They could have been very loving and nurturing to others. And it's kind of like, it's time for you to be in a relationship with people, to quit that old pattern and be in relationships with people who are more on the same page as you. And the people in your life who it kind of affected their life, and they might end up struggling within themselves because they've been in relationships with people who were more authentic and loving and encouraging, and maybe now they're not hanging around people who are like that. And then they've kind of got to do this work within themselves, and they might do that with the next person who comes in their life, is trying to illuminate. They might be because I kind of think if people reject love the next go around, it might be a more shadowy relationship because, oh, love didn't work? Okay, well, you seem to think this is what you want. Okay, here's that. And it might be the thing to make them not want to live their life like that anymore. So you kind of also could have inspired other people. And some of those people, just like when you healed and grew and matured yourself, could have communicated with people as you were moving forward that I've changed. I'm not as caught up in certain things or repeating old patterns of the past. I've kind of been illuminated to some truths. This is how I'm moving forward. Do you want to move forward? And then those people got to look at their life to think about how they're moving forward. And are they willing to reveal their truth and deal with some issues? And some of those people will move forward with you, and some of those people won't. And as you're moving forward, you're going to meet different people. Some of those people just want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship. Some of the old people want to come back and indulge. And you're like, I don't want to repeat this old pattern. I've already been there and done that. If you haven't been kind of illuminated, I will get to know you. As I move forward in life, I'm going to listen to my intuition and get to know people. I'll be encouraging and supportive to people. But there's kind of, I'm not just going to get in a relationship out of my ego or my want to be in a relationship, or just go take a job with someone, or, I'm going to get to know people. It's a slow, steady process because I want to know the truth. I have already been in relationships with people who are deceptive and manipulative, and I should have listened to my intuition and not taken that job or gotten in that relationship. But I kind of jumped into it, and now I've learned to take my time, my more authentic, loving nature. If people aren't willing to put in work and effort to get to know me and reveal themselves more, then you're not the person for me anyway. Bye. And there's some people in the world that see that you're not acting kind of more out of ego or lust or greed or something. And those people see you as someone that they want to have a new beginning with, assuming you're not in a relationship already. So what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Taurus? The Tower. Why? Because of the devil. Again, we have free will to live our life whatever way we want. We all could have indulged in some things of the world that we thought was living the dream. It was going to make us happy. And we realized we were deceiving ourselves. You know, when you love yourself, you can go enjoy the things in the world. You don't give those things that much power in your life. These are things that I can enjoy doing and hanging out with and all this stuff, but they're not I know they're not the answer to my problems. Truth and love and balance is the answer to my problems. So I can go enjoy myself in the world and maintain a place of balance without tipping out of balance. But, you know, we've all got to learn those lessons. And we all have to learn that some people aren't who they say they are. And we need to see that some people are more shadowy. And they might want to stay more shadowy. And we can't change other people. They have their own ways of being. And when people show us that this is what drives and motivates me, we should not stay in denial of the truth. We should see the truth, wish them peace, and we move on and keep our distance. The devil set you free. The devil was trying to maybe tear you down, run your life off into the ditch. But see, when the devil came into your life before, it maybe did drive your life off into the ditch. And you had to learn to pick yourself back up again and love and believe in yourself. And then that's kind of like a skill that you have in muscle memory. You know, it gets easier to pick yourself up. Some people have never let their more authentic, loving nature out to play. And that's why they don't, because they would feel like it could completely devastate them. Can it be devastating? Yes. But I wanted to explore the mysteries of life. I don't want to keep my more authentic, loving nature buried. I'm an emotionally complex human being. I want to feel the feelings. I want to do the highs and the lows. And I accept that not everything I go pursue is going to turn out the way I want. But I'm not going to go into shadowy energy. Like now my dreams can't come into reality. My dreams can't come into reality with people who are shadowy anyway. It was all for me to learn these lessons so that when I do get my divine inheritance, I know the truth. I am not as naive and gullible as I was before. And then when I have that divine inheritance that God wants me to have, there can't be people who come into my life to try to steal it away from me, because I've already been illuminated to the truth about shadowy people and the devil. And I shed light, and I put in work and effort, and I maintain this balance within myself to temper myself so that I'm not more manipulated in my more worldly nature. And that could be a tower moment. It can break you free from an old way of living life or viewing life and people in your life. And it can be a tower moment for other people, because some people in your life who are like being deceptive, being manipulative, either not being in a relationship with you because they wanted to make you stop loving and believing in yourself, those people are seeing that all their tactics didn't work. And if there's been someone in your life who's being hurtful or unkind or intimidating or controlling, as you do this work within yourself to love and believe in yourself, and you keep kind of walking the talk, it puts pressure on the people who's like, but I don't want to go that direction. And it's like, kind of they take some type of action that isn't probably in truth and love, and it kind of reveals the truth of what drives and motivates them. And then you see the truth, and it sets you free. So either way, the tower is seeing the truth of a foundation. The truth is illuminated. Seeing what manipulates you, kind of seeing what manipulates other people, what drives and motivates other people. And high vibe people aren't willing, if I'm motivated to make decisions out of truth and love and justice and fairness, and someone else is making decisions more out of pride and ego and defensiveness, A house divided can't stand. We have to be motivated and inspired by the same truth. So that is awesome. And you just living your more authentic life kind of reveals, without you doing anything, it just kind of reveals who is acting more shadowy, prideful, manipulative, immature, just by the fact that they're living their life like that and you're not. Just by contrast, it kind of shows who is more inspired, acting with more character and integrity and truth and love, and who's acting more shadowy. And the devil does not like being illuminated. What's coming up for more worldly, shadowy people? The world. Why? Because of the Ace of Cups. Well, when people act kind of shadowy and deceptive and manipulative, people can be deceived for a while. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And initially, the people who are closest to them in a more romantic relationship could see the truth of who they are. Other people might be deceived for a while, but as those people keep taking action more out of pride and ego and lust and greed, and they see other people not doing that, eventually the world also offers them peace, but they're going to move on. I think I've kind of seen who's who. And like at the big picture, the devil's trying to make people make your life about this. You'll be happy. You don't have to do love. You don't got to heal or grow and mature yourself. Give up your dreams. Make your life about this. You'll be happy. And then there's people who are living their life like that. But then there's also other people that aren't in relationships more out of fear and insecurity, codependency, lust, greed, being abusive, being controlling. And other people see those people that they've kind of transformed their life, and they seem to have this stable, grounded, authentic, loving, inspiring life and relationships. And those people want to align with those people, So shadowy people, but there's always going to be people in the world, other people in the world, who that is their truth too. And they'll want to be in a relationship with them. They just might end up being in a relationship with other people who are more like them. They're more about the world. The world can be an end to something, closing out a cycle, an end to love. Let's not do love. Love's scary. We get hurt. We'd have to get out of our defensive nature and our fear. Let's make our life more about indulging ourselves in the world, or the ego or the image of it. I'll be in a relationship with you. And some people are going to probably have this inner conflict because they had the opportunity to move forward in a more emotionally balanced, loving way, and probably had people in their life that the devil can mean that you are attracted to, but they let those people go because they're just unwilling to either be more authentic, more vulnerable, or get out of their defensive and their egoic nature. And so they're going to repeat a pattern, because we all repeat a pattern until we see the truth, and they don't think love is the answer. No, it's something else. If these people value me, if these people see me as worthy, or if I have these things or I indulge in these things, that's the answer. And I don't think the things that they go pursue are going to be these stable, grounded, insightful, loving relationships that they think they're going to be. Because really, for it to be that way, both people have to be in that energy. And if they try to manipulate other more loving people, eventually the other loving people are going to end the relationship with them because they don't do love. And they're going to quit. If I offer you love and encouragement, but it's like somebody who wants you to continually Like, I don't think that's my job to love me or feed me or water me, or, it's like you could think of all these different analogies. No, my philosophy of life is I don't have to do that. You're supposed to do that. It's like, no, when you get in loving and encouraging environments, you're supposed to do this work within yourself. You are supposed to shed old layers of yourself, to have hope and faith and belief in yourself and face your fears, to give birth to like a new version of you, a more mature, insightful, wise, enlightened version. They're like, nah, that's not how I view life. Okay, then. You keep doing this and keep hoping for a different outcome. See how that goes for you. So, there you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.